Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to America Reignited. I am Nicholas Milonni, and we're here today to talk about some very important developments in the Middle East. We have this article here from ABC, Israel-Gaza live updates, Trump signs peace agreement, last living hostages released. President Trump addressed the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, on Monday before traveling to Egypt for a peace summit to mark the first steps of the U.S. brokered ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The final 20 remaining living hostages taken by Hamas on October 7, 2023, were returned to Israel on Monday as part of an exchange for Palestinian prisoners held by Israel, officials said. You can see the various hostages here having been released. There's quite many of them here. The remains of 4 deceased hostages in IDF custody are en route to Israel. 4 coffins containing the remains of deceased hostages are now in the custody of the Israeli Defense Forces and Israeli Security Agency forces and are on their way to Israel, the IDF said. Before crossing into Israeli territory, a military protocol will be held in the Gaza Strip in their memory, the IDF said. During the protocol, IDF soldiers will drape the hostages' coffins with Israeli flags, salute them, and recite a chapter from the Book of Psalms. Once in Israel, the coffins will be brought to the National Center of Forensic Medicine for identifications, the IDF said. Trump claims war in Gaza is over. President Trump claimed at the peace summit in Egypt that the war in Gaza is over, though only the first phase of an agreement has been reached, and hopefully it will continue forward and neither side will violate the peace agreement. We can only hope that that happens, because I am seriously not interested at all in participating in this, personally, as an American. I mean, we've clearly done enough already, okay? And why we continue helping Israel out is really beyond me. And truthfully, it's kind of aggravating to me. I really don't get it. This is a serious flaw in the whole America First sort of standpoint, but we'll get to more of that in a minute. The president said now the rebuilding begins and he said rebuilding may be the easiest part. Yeah, so long as we don't have to pay for it as Americans, and we had better not. Chuck Schumer, we had better not. Trump, we had better not. Anybody who wants rebuilding to be done there. It's not our business, and we should not pay for it. The Red Cross is now in possession of 2 more coffins of deceased hostages, the Israeli Defense Forces and the Israeli Security Agency said. A total of 4 bodies of deceased hostages are now on their way to IDF forces. According to the terms of the first phase of the ceasefire deal, all 20 living hostages and the bodies of all 28 deceased hostages still being held in Gaza were supposed to be returned to Israel on Monday. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said the return of only 4 bodies is a failure to meet the commitments of the first phase of the ceasefire deal, and he said any delay or deliberate avoidance will be considered a blatant violation of the agreement and will be responded to accordingly. You do realize you're going to break the agreement now if you go ahead and respond to that, right? That we, the Americans, worked so hard for, that our president worked so hard for. Who do you think you are to go and violate that? If you're going to go and do stuff like that, then why are we even helping you? That really aggravates me. And I am not, yeah, we've already done so much for these people. And we're going to continue helping them out? No, that's not right. Trump signs the peace agreement. President Donald Trump, Egyptian President El-Sisi, Turkish President Erdogan, and Qatari Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani formally signed the Gaza ceasefire agreement at a ceremony in Egypt on Monday as other world leaders looked on. I understand maybe this is good for the whole region at large, but really, the Middle East is an extremely complicated and, well, let's just be frank about it, dangerous place. It's always been a problem, at least for the last many, many years, at least ever since World War I ended, it's always been a problem because of the agreements that happened there. And it's proving still to be an issue today. And I hope this ceasefire holds because I'm really just kind of sick of the Middle East, and I'm sick of getting involved in Middle Eastern affairs. I'm sick of getting involved in everybody's affairs. This took 3,000 years to get to this point. Can you believe it? And it's going to hold up to. It's going to hold up, Trump said. Yeah, I don't know, man. 3,000 years? 3,000 years? I don't know if I buy it. I mean, we'll see what happens, but I don't know if I buy that. 3,000 years is a lot to contend with. And quite frankly, I don't know that Israel is going to be up to that. I kind of think they want to purge these people out because then they don't have to worry about them anymore. And, even though they agreed to this peace settlement, maybe it's not really what they had in mind or wanted when this whole thing started. Why this happened is they all came together and they wanted to get Gaza straightened out. They wanted to get the whole thing straightened out, Trump said. It's got to a point where it was just crazy. And once they got together and once we started talking, it went really to me. It went smoothly. It went so smoothly. It was such a big help. But it went so smoothly that nobody could even believe it, that we're sitting here and getting all this certified out and all done, and everybody's happy about it. Yeah. I mean, look, okay, look, you've seen all these hostages get returned. That's all well and good. Fine, fine, fine. But I still don't understand why it's our business to do all that. Why can't Israel get its own hostages back? Why do we need to get involved in this? And why must Israel always be protected at the American taxpayer's expense, like it is now? I've never understood it, and I don't think I ever will. People say that Israel does stuff for us. May I ask what exactly? And whatever it is, I'm sure it's probably not nearly as much as we do for them. And people like to call Israel our greatest ally and stuff. I'm going to go off on a little tangent here because it really does bug me. And I think it's important to talk about all of these things. People call Israel our greatest ally. Let me ask you something. If you're a student of history, especially, you should realize this. Do any of these alliances ever last for a really long time? No. Okay? They might last for hundreds of years, but eventually, none of them last forever. Okay? None of them last forever. Take a look at the British and the French, right? They were at odds for hundreds of years. The 7 Years' War, the American Revolution, the Napoleonic Wars, right? Then all of a sudden, Germany becomes the new great power on the continent, and they need to work together to stop it in World War I. Countries do whatever they can in the moment. They do what's best for themselves in the moment. They always have. Israel will do the same. That's what always happens. And if there comes a time where they can get ahead by stabbing us in the back, they're going to do it. Just as we would do it to them. Or at least we should. Okay? That's the truth here. Countries always do what's in their best interest. And one of these days, Israel may find it in their best interest to go against us. And we are actively supporting them as though they're like one of our own states. I'm not okay with that. There may come a time where they, do the opposite of returning the favor for all of that stuff. So I'm very worried about that. I'm very worried about the future prospects of what it means to really support a nation this much. Because one of these days they may not be friendly to us for whatever reason. And we're going out of our way to help them out now. I don't support doing this with any country. If it was for the Russians or the Chinese or the Indians or the Europeans of any sort, I would not be okay with it. And I am certainly not okay with it now. And I understand maybe this peace deal is a good thing. I'm glad the hostages are back home, but I still don't really see it as our personal business. And I really am not. I really am not super optimistic that this peace deal will hold for very long, because I'm not really sure it's what Israel truly wants. So this is kind of where we're at, and I just wanted to make a video detailing all of those things. I know I went off on a bit of a rant towards the end, but I think I really wanted to get my point across, and I think that by speaking this way, I have done that. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Uh, we're going to see if phase two comes along and proceeds successfully. I sure hope it does, because again, I really don't want anything to do with this whole problem. And I'd like to hear what all of you think. Do you think I'm over exaggerating? Do you think I'm worrying too much? What is your opinion on America's foreign policy prospects? What should we do next? Are we currently doing the right thing? Should we change our stance or our position on things? Put it in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video with anybody else you think would be interested. I think that this pro-Israel stance can be very harmful to the country. I do. And I'm not on the Palestinian side. I'm not in favor of what happened on October 7th. Please don't take me out of context here. I just don't see it as something that we need to be worried about as Americans. That's my stance on the issue. So, thank you all for tuning in, and have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you.